Welcome to the Born Ready Unstoppable podcast. I am your host, bodybuilder, entrepreneur, and motivator, Dylan Cody, and we have a very special guest here today, someone who was very influential in helping me build my mindset, focus on self-development, and really push me forward on this mission. Chris Charpentier, owner of Your Path Recovery Living. What's going on, brother? How you doing?
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me, dude. It's crazy to see how far we've come.
Yeah, no, absolutely. One of the first things I said to you when we got here was, look at this, man. Like,
Yeah.
take it in.
Yeah.
You know?
This is, we always knew we'd get here. I think from the beginning, that was a big thing for us. We always knew that we were going to pull something off.
Yeah.
We just didn't know how big.
Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. So let's start there, man. I mean, I met you at Gold's Gym, right?
Right.
That's the man I met.
Yeah.
But you have a story, and your story, for me personally, tremendously influential, but I've also watched you touch so many other people's lives.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why I want you on here today. I want you to tell that story and
Yeah,
Go
man.
for it, man.
I guess let's bring it back to when we met. It was Gold's Gym, right? That was before they transferred over. So I got the job. I remember that. And we both know where that is. That was, I believe it was, I was trying to think about it last night. I believe it was 9 hours a week, where it was a Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I was working the back desk and just checking people in for spin. But I know, I remember that was the start of really training. The start of bodybuilding was right around there, especially when I met you. That's when it kind of really took off. But I just remember being so excited to be working in a gym. You know, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was at we can get into this down the line. I was at a really, really weird place in my life where I was crawling out of hell, to say, you know, just to put it that way. And that job kind of gave me like, all right, this is it. Let's have some fun now. That's when we started training and all that. So then the whole work and the way up. And I remember, I think you were the personal training manager, right? You were the sales manager at the time.
Yeah, I was the personal training manager at the time. And Chris, one of the things I really respect you for is, you said it, 9 hours a week.
Yeah.
And how much an hour are we talking? I mean, come on.
Back then,
Yeah.
what was that? Well, I'm coming up on 10 years. So that was probably 10 years ago or so, maybe 8 years ago. You're probably looking at like 10, 12 maybe
Right.
on a good day.
Right.
Yeah.
But the point I'm trying to make here is you showed up to that job excited.
Yeah.
With a smile
Yeah.
on your face.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
looked at it like, hey, I'm at Gold's Gym.
Yeah.
I'm working at Gold's Gym.
Right.
I'm in the mix.
Right.
It's only up from
Right.
here. Most people, they can't even humble themselves to see what opportunity they have right in
No.
front of them. So talk about that. You get to Gold's Gym, you know, you're coming out of something and you just see nothing but opportunity. You start lifting and, you know, what happens next?
I think the biggest thing was the name Gold's Gym. That's the Mecca. That's what everybody knows. So it was working and saying I get to work at Gold's Gym was the biggest excitement for me. I remember being like, wow, look at how cool this is. I remember I got those gray, I remember those polos. Oh my God, they were hideous. But the gray, you know, just having
The
Gold's Gym.
uniforms.
Yeah. I was
Absolutely.
just so
Yeah,
excited to
you
be able
felt
to
official.
put that on. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was so excited to put that on. And then I was training. I think before I started working there, I was training. And then that's when I was working there and surrounding myself with like guys like you who were in the competing. That's when it started to really take off, where we were like, all right, let's do something here. Remember, we were coaching. We have the pictures way back in the day of all that. And
at that point too, Chris, that's when we started hashtagging
yes,
Born Ready and Lionhearted.
yes.
So the interesting thing about me and you
Right.
is we came into it at a time where Instagram was still new.
Right.
Like I remember
Right.
people looking at us like, you guys are posting pictures, flexing on the internet. Like what's up with that?
Yeah, like what are you guys really doing?
Yeah, like another squatting video,
Yeah.
you know, another that. But
Yeah.
we built a following through that, man.
Right.
And we were consistent with it.
Right. And it was the hashtags. I mean, let's get right into that. The hashtag is, you know, the Lionhearted thing. It's on my chest. Yeah. So basically where the Lionhearted thing came from was the reason why I got that on my chest was to help me in a dark time. It's a reminder of what I crawled out of, what I came from, and what I had to go through. And it was also, you know, not many people know it unless you've really looked at my pictures or something like that. But it was to take the attention away from my scars. There was a point where I hated seeing my scars. I hated looking down. I remember walking on the beach and people that was the first focus point. So I thought, let me just, let me pull their eyes away from it. Let me just put something, let me put something bold on my chest. So not only did it help me in a dark time, every time I looked in the mirror, it was a reminder of, yeah, man, you went through some stuff and you were able to crawl out. But it was also it really started with, let's get the eyes away from the scars.
Yeah.
But now I look at the scars, that they are what they are. You know, it doesn't bother me anymore, but it was a different mindset back then when I got that.
Sure. But there's a lot of things to take from that. Visualization. You know, you're looking at the mirror and now you're reminding yourself that you overcame, that you dealt with adversity. That's who you are. Right. So now you're waking up in the morning, you're looking in the mirror. Yeah, you got scars there, but you also have that reminder. Right. And I think people need to take that away from this. You know, I always talk about becoming the person you want to be. Right. And that, for you, man, that was a step. Right. You know, even in that moment, if you didn't realize it, that was step one. Right. You know, this is who I am. I'm tattooing this. This is permanent. Yeah. And then it just, it transpired into something. I don't know if that's the right word, but it was like, you know, you remember walking into gyms like, oh, Lionheart, and you're like, kind of, you know, it's crazy to think about now, you know, as we really know it, and I've been away from the bodybuilding scene for a bit now, but it really turned into something. And then I remember throwing in, we would do the BornReady part, you know, and that's when it was like, we were confident. We knew we had something, and it was great. And it, you know what the best part about it was is it meant something. There was a purpose behind it, you know. And when I see BornReady, right, when I see that word, and when I was hashtagging that word, the first thing that comes to mind was destiny. That's what I see when I see BornReady, is destiny. You're born for this. Yeah. I believe everybody has a purpose. I believe everyone comes to this earth, this realm, whatever you want to call it, with an agreement, something to fulfill, you know. And I think that's what this life is all about, and whether you're going to fulfill it or not. So BornReady is, you know, your path, your bodybuilding, you're opening your shops, you're doing that. That is your path. That is what you were destined to do. And that's when life's great, as you can see. Look at, you know, I couldn't be more happy with my life. Do I want more? Yeah. But, absolutely. But I'm very content with where I'm at, because I believe I'm fulfilling my purpose of being here. And that's what I care most about. So that, bringing it back to the hashtags like that, it wasn't just like, I know people hashtag to get views, more, whatever it is. Those actually meant something to us, which was a little different for us. Yeah. And it was was it a fun time? Just the come up was the funniest part, I think. The best part. And you know what's crazy about it, man? All that stuff, we're saying we were who we were then. Right. We were even talking about centrifugal force. Yeah, yeah. We were sitting there like, we are meant to be together. Right. We don't know why. Right. And that's the crazy thing, man. Look at my history, right? Right. And look at your history. And we're going to tell that story in a little bit here. Right. But we both ended up in the same place. Yeah. We both ended up at Gold's Gym. Right. And we looked at it as, hey, we're both here. Yeah. Whatever reason we're here. Let's make something out of it. And we collaborated, man, and we just kept developing. And we had the type of friendship where it was like, it was tunnel vision. Yeah. We were focused on our goals, and that was it. Right. And, you know, the biggest part of us was we brought out the best in each other. We bounced ideas off each other. You know, if I didn't want to train, what do you know, you're not going to train today? Right. Yeah. Oh, and then I'm like, damn, I got to go train. Yeah. You know, and then that was it. You know, I come around the corner after doing a tour or something like that. You're smashing a meal. Yep. I'm going to get my meal. Yep. You know, that was the atmosphere we had, though. And that was an atmosphere that someone like me and you know, we thrive in. We can see other people, and it's not like, damn, I wish I had what he had. Exactly. Or, damn, I'm jealous of him, or he didn't work for that. It's like, all right, let's go get it now. And we can get it together. And I think that's a very important thing in life, is, you know, the people you got around you, the company you keep, and being around people that have something that you want and learning from them. Yeah. But, sorry about that. No, you're good. But yeah, and just being around, surrounding yourself, you know, getting mentors, stuff like that. And so, you know, learning from people, learning from our regional, you know, remember his name, you know, we learned from him a lot. Well, let's talk about that for a second. I mean, so we had a guy, right? And me and him we're young, and we're just thinking about bodybuilding. And here's this guy he's been through it. Yeah. He's lived it. And of course, me and you were looking at him like, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
dude, you didn't
Yeah.
have this lifestyle.
Right.
You don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
And he told us, one day there's going to come a time where it's not going to matter if your arms are 22 inches.
Right.
Right. You're going to care about making sure your money's right, making sure your family situation's right, making sure that you have the life that you want. And for a while, me and you just, blinders, man. We didn't see it like that.
We didn't see it. We were young. We didn't mature the mind fast enough in that realm. But I also think we needed to go through what we did.
Absolutely, we did.
We went through it. We learned. But yeah.
And that's what I want. And that's what I want
yeah,
the young guys watching, right?
Yeah.
If you're watching this, the guys who have been around, the OGs, you may not like what they're saying.
Yeah.
But they're saying it because they've been through it. And experience is king, right? If it's one thing to know something hypothetically, but to have lived through it,
right?
You had the edge there.
And he was. I remember him saying it and taking it as like a personal vendetta.
Yeah.
I'm going to show him.
Yep.
Yeah, like he has no clue what he's talking about. I'm going to make it. And don't get me wrong. I truly believed that was. I think we're going to make it, and I believed it back then. Whether I switched out of bodybuilding or not, I still believe in that time, if I kept going, if I was able to get going, I would have had everything I wanted out of it.
Yeah.
Stuff happened down the line we can get into where it just said, I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
But at that time when he's telling me that, I'm like, F him, this, that,
Right.
And as I grew, as I matured, as I developed mentally, he was spot on.
Yeah.
And we took some time away. You did that as well, and
Yeah.
took some time to really develop mentally to build yourself into what you are now.
Right.
And now it's go time.
Yeah.
And he was always saying that back then. Build your foundation.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And we had we went straight to the second floor back then.
Yep.
It was just like we're gonna train. All we care about is muscle. All we care about is putting on pounds and this and that. We're doing meals, but we weren't really doing the part that matters. We weren't doing the connection part. We weren't doing the mental work. We were just doing the physical.
Yeah, we were missing out on the bigger picture in the moment.
Right.
But what we learned during that time period, going
Right.
through what we went through,
Right.
that has spilled over into
Yeah,
everything else
for
we're
sure.
doing right now.
Yeah.
So let's go to that. I mean, so you did, you competed in a bodybuilding competition.
Yep.
You have some different health history.
Yeah.
How was that overcoming that prep? What were the challenges? How difficult was that for you mentally and physically?
So I guess let's bring it back to what really kind of got me into bodybuilding was one, an outlet coming out of a very dark time. I was still in a pretty bad place. I mean, I went through my stuff, and I still wasn't healed from the inside out. So I still had a lot of pain in me. So I found the gym, right? What a way to just beat the pain out of you.
Mm-hmm.
Go in there, throw the dumbbells over your head as hard as you can, not caring. I think that's what I was using in bodybuilding. Another reason why I got into it was a little backstory. I went through a lot of health issues. I think I was like 22 years old at the time, or maybe 21. My intestines burst. Septic, ripped open, was septic for like 3 days. I didn't know it. I ended up getting life flighted in.
You thought you were going to die.
Yeah, they told me. Yeah, I remember I took a helicopter. I remember the one thing I do remember was asking how fast we were going. It was like 163 miles per hour or something like that. Who knows? I was
Right.
in a state of like delusion. I was literally, dying at that time.
And that's the question you asked them: how fast is the helicopter?
Yeah.
That's amazing, Chris. That says a lot about your mindset.
Yeah, I
mean,
was like, this is pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
I back it up a little bit. I was in my house. I was at my parents, and I was dropping. I remember walking down the hallway of my parents, and I was falling over. My mom was holding me up, and then I heard, she yelled to my father to call an ambulance. And when you hear something like that, you kind of snap out of it. You're like, call an ambulance? What do you mean? I'm fine. I was not fine. I was 98% septic. The ambulance drivers, man, they're the ones that saved my life for sure. So they saw the what was going on. They were able to identify that I was septic, so they called the life flight right away. Got me going. I got life flighted into Worcester. My parents drove. So I remember, just to speed through it a little bit, I remember getting there, and I had a lot of surgeries before, so I kind of knew the process. I'm telling the doctor, I'm like, yo, man, put me out. Like, what are we waiting for, dude? I'm in the worst pain of my life. Like,
Right.
I don't even know
Let's
what's
get this
going on.
moving,
Yeah,
yeah.
like you just drop the IV, get me in there, knock me out, do what you got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Then he says, and I was still in a little loopy at the time. He says, man, we want you to see your parents. And I'm like, oh, all right. So they drove, and my dad was probably driving 150 down the highway or whatever, I-90, whatever it is. And he says, we want you to see your parents. I don't think you're going to make it through the night. And you're like, oh, man. But I was still so like, ain't going to make it through the night yet.
Right.
You know, but it kind of hits you. You're like, all right, cool. Then I woke up, I think for a brief moment, the next day or so to see one thing I can remember is my mom asking me like to squeeze her hand. I flatlined on the table that night.
Right.
I lost oxygen. They didn't know if I was going to be brain dead or not. Whatever.
So it wasn't going well at that point?
No, it was not. No.
Okay.
So long story short, I put into a coma and was in there for 2 months. And what really got me into bodybuilding was after that, I had to learn how to walk, all that. They told me I wouldn't lift again or something like that. And me being young, you know, should I listen to them? Maybe. Would I change it? No. But telling me that I couldn't do something, I'm like, nice, yeah, let's go.
Take it back to that.
Yeah.
Let's show them.
Right.
It started there.
That was a big part of bodybuilding for me. But the problem with all those surgeries was they cut my abs in half for 6 months. It's just one big hernia. So if you look at my stage shots, as you remember, that was a big hurdle for me. Was that damn bulge, man?
Right.
That hernia. Remember poking it back in, tighten the belt. That was probably the hardest thing going into prep, because that's when it really started flaring up. And I remember they don't want to see that on stage.
Right.
Especially men's physique.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
But let's pause right there, because you take it back. You got that tattoo, Lionhearted, to take eyes away from your physique.
Right.
And now you're prepping after you were told you never walk again to get on stage and display your physique.
Yeah.
I mean, that right there is amazing.
So just read it. It was never be able to lift again, right? And I learned how to walk, all that stuff. And so that, you know, we talk about hurdles in the bodybuilding area. That was probably the biggest hurdle. You know, you remember walking in the gym, I'm like, damn.
Yeah, some days you weren't moving well, man. You look like the Tin Man.
Yeah.
You know, you had to put some oil in those joints or something. You know what I mean?
It's like my golf swing, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, it was like, it was a battle, but it was more of a mindset of like, oh, I can't wait to show them wrong. And you know, I was able to show them, because the guy that saved my life the first night, I actually got a chance to go back and see him because of having to have another surgery, and he was dumbfounded. You know, it was back during the heyday of bodybuilding, so I'm big. You know, I'm loving it, and
he didn't even expect to see you doing that well. He sees you look amazing. You look like a statue.
Right. He's telling me I might not make it through the night. Now I'm coming back telling him I just competed in a bodybuilding show, and we got to Kevlar the stomach.
Yeah.
But that was, for bodybuilding, that was the biggest hurdle. Was just overcoming the injuries that came along with those surgeries. It was just going to keep ripping. But I as much as I say it was a hurdle, it was a main thing that drove me too. So it's like,
it was a blessing.
It's a catch-22 really.
In hindsight.
Right. Competing. Yeah. Stage presence. That's the biggest thing.
Yep.
I completely overlooked that. You were at my show. We went down to Brooklyn. We had a good group in there. You know, and I'm backstage and I'm looking at people, and I wasn't cocky, but I knew I brought a package.
Yeah, you did.
And I was ready to just body speaks, you know, and I remember the guy what's that guy's name? I wish I remembered his name, but in the NPC, he was the one that put everybody on the stage, gives and going. He's always yelling at people. Get out there.
Yeah.
And I remember he comes up to me backstage. He goes, "You look good, kid."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, it's on. I got this."
Yeah. And he always did stuff like that for the competitors too.
Right.
Great guy.
Yeah.
And you know what, Chris, though, I do want to highlight real quick is I'm a coach now. And what's crazy to me is I asked you a simple question. What were the challenges you faced in a bodybuilding prep? Not once did you mention a meal.
No.
Not once did you mention an amount of cardio.
Correct.
Not once did you mention having to work out. And what I want the viewers to understand is you were able to work out. You were able to eat. So for you, you weren't looking at it as, oh, I have to do this. I wish I was doing something else. You were blessed to be doing exactly
I was just happy to be there.
What you were doing.
I think,
and that's key.
I think that's the best part of bodybuilding is judging, whatever you want to call it. There's stuff out of your control. But 90% of bodybuilding is in your control.
100%.
And that's the best part about it.
Yeah.
It's up to you. You can wake up every day and do that cardio. You can wake up and eat your meals. It's all on you. And if you're not doing that, it's just an excuse in my eyes. So I think not many sports can you really control the outcome. You know, we played hockey both our lives. There's many players on the ice.
Yep.
We play golf.
Yep.
How many times have you seen just a bad kick?
Yeah, bad bounces.
Right.
Yeah, I've been living off that for my whole career. It's just a bad kick. It's a bad kick.
Right. Oh, if it didn't hit that, I'd be on the,
lipped out. The greenskeeper's fault.
Proper emplacement.
It's the caddy's fault.
Right. So, but bodybuilding, you don't have that. It's you. It's all on you. And I think that's the greatest part about it.
Right.
And it's simple.
Yeah.
It really just break it down to your meal, to your next, you break it down hour by hour.
Yeah.
And you control the complete outcome of your physique.
Yeah.
And not many sports say that you can do that.
So what do you think then, from your perspective, causes people just to have that excuse mindset, just that they can't eat the meal, they don't have the time, or, you know, what causes that in people? I mean, here you are, your stomach, you know, you've been operated on, you know, you have every reason to make an excuse and you refuse to. Why do people get so comfortable with those excuses when really...
I think a lot of people don't actually love it. I think they're doing it, you know, some people don't do it for the right reason. You have to, bodybuilding is a sport, you have to love it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It has to be a passion of yours.
Yeah.
Because you're missing out on so much as well.
Right.
You know, it's a 24-hour job.
Yeah.
You got to sleep right. You got to eat right. You can't go out to dinner. How many dinners did I say I can't go to? Because I got to eat a meal. I remember my birthday dinner. I wouldn't even do that.
Yep.
And everybody looking at you like you're nuts. But laziness, I think that's a huge factor.
Yeah.
But I think it comes down to truly loving it. And bodybuilding became huge. Even from the time we started to now, the industry is huge.
Huge.
Everybody wants to do it. I see everybody in the gyms, you know, they got their tripods, they got everything set up, and it's great and all, but it's really just a back to the basic sport in my eyes.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people do it for maybe attention or something like that, but you can separate the competitors. You know who loves it.
Yeah, because you could talk a big game, but when it's time to get up on stage,
and
you
those
can't
lights,
hide anything.
Right, and those lights hit you. That's another thing. That was another thing with stage presence, you know.
But you were big on that too, man. When you were so committed, and this is the mindset that I take, where it's like you don't even think about missing. Like I remember, and you'll remember, this is a great story. So there was a time, like anybody else, where you kind of, you know, go mental during a prep and you thought about not doing the show.
Yeah.
And we did our normal coffee run to Starbucks.
Yeah.
And we got 2 Trenta green iced teas. Yeah. And I wasn't on prep and I took a sip of it. Yeah. And I was like, hey, man, I think there's sugar in here. And you had just made the decision to maybe not do the show.
Yeah.
And you spit the tea out the window. Is there sugar in here?
Yeah.
Flipping out. So it just goes to show you, though, like,
right.
That's how committed we were. Even a sip of sugar at that point to you was unacceptable because it just went against everything you stood for. Right. And I think that's the recurring theme here is that this is you we're talking about. So you do everything the way you do everything.
Right.
You know, you retaught yourself how to walk. You were told you couldn't train. Right. When it came down to doing a prep, you weren't missing a meal. You weren't even thinking about that. No. There's no missing on your radar.
No, that comes from a different mentality of like, I look at everything now as I get to do this. Right. As, you know, when you're told you might not make it through the night, whatever. I look at it as like I'm on bonus time, you know? Why not just do everything I want to do? Yeah, it's go time. If I'm not supposed to be here, I might as well just run it up as much as I can. You know, so I have a blast doing that. But yeah, I think most competitors should look at it as like, I get to control my outcome. And that's the best feeling in the world. Yeah. If you believe in yourself. Yeah. If you don't believe in yourself, I think that's when it can kind of go sideways or something like that. But
well, even with that, I mean, so you compete in the show, right? Right. And at that time, you're still in the gym industry. You had left Fit Lab. You were working for a different zoo, the zoo gym, right?
Yeah,
in Derry?
Out in Derry, correct.
So you were doing that for a little bit. Now, you loved sales. Me and you would always talk about, what are you doing today? Yeah. You know, you'd call me from your club. I'd be in my club.
Yeah, how many memberships you got
How
up?
many memberships you got up?
Oh,
you eating another meal or selling another deal? You know, it was that type of like Wall Street environment, man. Like we were motivated. And then you decided, hey, you know what? I want to really go out there, use my sales ability to really try to make some more upside. Yeah. And talk to me about that transition and, you know, how sales at Gold's Gym played a role into that.
So let me back up real quick too. I think sales is another thing you can control.
Absolutely.
Just like bodybuilding, as hard as you're going to work in your sales, you get your leads and stuff like that, and follow up is as good as you're going to sell. Just like as much meals as you're going to eat and stay on your course, you're going to look better.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're selling in the gyms. I think I'm truly grateful to be able to sell in gyms, because with that, you got to talk to every type of person in this world. You got to talk to the CEOs and you got to talk to the janitors. Every type of person goes in the gym, as you can see. So I think that was a huge role in my sales career, where I really benefited with just being able to talk to people. Because that's what sales is. You're making relationships. You're having a good time. You're getting them to trust you. You're getting them to like you.
Yeah.
People buy from people they like and trust. I think Ted always said that.
Ted always said that.
Yeah.
And you were great at building relationships.
Right.
I mean, I can remember, there were certain kids that would come into the gym.
Yeah.
Chris,
Yeah.
like they would be excited to see you.
Right.
And that's what makes a gym, right? It's the people like that.
Right.
But,
and that's how you build an atmosphere. Because you want to walk into a gym and say, hey, man, you're happy. Nice.
Yeah.
You're here. Like, let's go.
Yeah.
Go to work. Yeah. And so the sales transitioned out of the gym, of course. My father contacted me. He built a great a sales agency. And he contacted me like, hey, man, you want to make some money? Let's do this. You like sales? Let's start
you're
this.
a salesman now?
Yeah,
All right, let's go sell
let's go
something.
sell some
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah, let's go sell some big ticket items. And, he said, all right, here's the deal. I want to send you down to Pennsylvania for 6 months.
I remember that.
Yeah, I'm like, 6 months. Like, what am I going to do? But you never say no to an opportunity.
Nope.
That was the same thing for Golds. You know what I'm saying? All right, Chris, you're back desk. Hey, come do front desk. All right, now you can do this. You want to do sales? Always said yes, just to keep going. Then we went up GM, stuff like that. So I took the opportunity. I went to Pennsylvania. I lived by myself for 6 months. I didn't meet a single person. I knew I was just there to do a job.
Yep.
I was there to train, to learn the industry, and come back and sell. And it's not much different. Whether you're selling $100 membership or selling $1 million machine, it's just talking. You know, it's just communicating and being there for them and saying you're going to get stuff done and living by your word. You know what I'm saying? If I say, yeah, I'm going to get this done for you, I'm going to get this quote over to you, I got to get it done.
Absolutely. Expectation setting.
Right.
Following up what you said you were going to do.
That was the biggest thing. That was what the gym taught me, like, hey, man, I'm going to check in on you. Hey, you were here 5 days in a row. Stuff like that.
Yep.
That keeps them motivated.
Yep.
And me being there for my customers. Hey, man, we just had a machine go down. All right, let me get on the horn. Let me get you in touch with this person and stuff like that. And then that shows that you're there. Yeah. That shows that you got them, as you know, with your businesses and all that. So,
and that's one of the things I tried to take from what we were doing over there at Gold Gym and Fit Lab with my business, my store in Wyndham, is when people come in, they're coming in to buy supplements, but the most important thing to me is that they leave there motivated and inspired.
Right.
And that the next time they come in, I remember, hey, how was that spin class?
Yeah.
Hey, how was that workout across the street the other day? Right? Knowing that you actually care.
Because that keeps them going.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Absolutely. I always say I don't want a customer for today. I want a customer for life.
Right.
I want someone who, when they need something, they come to me because, like you said, I stand on my word.
Right.
I stand on business.
Right.
And that's key.
Well, especially when it comes down to sales, you don't. Yes, it's a next sale mentality, but you're also preserving your customers.
Yeah, and building a pipeline.
Right. You want your customers to keep coming back. So you got to show up for them every single time. Yeah, you want new customers. Obviously, everybody wants new customers. But it's taking care of every customer you have so they don't go anywhere else.
Right.
Because it's such a cutthroat industry.
Right.
You slip up one time. I've had, my competitors slip up. They contact me. He took too long to get me a quote.
Right.
All right, I'm going to get a quote quick.
Yeah. It's a competition.
Right.
And that's from the bodybuilding aspect, that competing nature in sales and in business and in life, it's competition.
Right.
Like you just said, it's that quick.
Right.
You don't do what you say you did, you just lost the customer.
Yeah.
Same thing in my store. If I don't have a product, they're going down the street to a bigger company.
Right.
It's
crazy to see. It's fast paced. But it's another thing you can control.
Absolutely. And
which
having that
love
name,
that. Me personally, I love being in positions that I can control. I've learned that there's stuff I can't control for sure. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
There's definitely stuff that, all right, listen, you have to let that go because you'll drive yourself nuts. But the stuff that I can control, I love it.
And you got to focus on.
Right.
And dig in.
Right.
To where you can control.
Right.
And everything else is going to happen regardless.
Right. And let it happen.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I loved bodybuilding. That's why you love sales. That's what it comes down to. It's hand in hand.
Yeah.
Because if you can control your outcome, I'm going to bet on myself. In my eyes, you know what I'm saying?
Bingo. Yeah.
That's what I'm going to look at it as. Like, all right, I don't have to depend on anyone. I get mad when I'm waiting on a quote.
Yeah.
Because if I got to get a quota from someone else, they're slowing up me.
And that's all business really is at the end of the day, is taking a bet on yourself. I think
Right.
where a lot of people have it backwards is
Right.
they fantasize owning their own business
Yeah.
as I'm going to leave my job that I'm giving 50% effort to.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go work for myself and give 100%
Yeah.
effort. You're
Right.
dreaming.
Yeah.
If you can't give 100%, we were giving 100% at
Right.
Gold's,
Right.
whether it was front desk,
Right.
operations, sales,
Right.
any position, we wanted to be the best.
That goes back to your foundation.
It goes
If
back
you
to your
build-
foundation.
If you build up that foundation to that's how you're going to live your life, that's how
Exactly.
you hold your expectations, that's how you're going to win.
But as far as life elevation goes, man, I mean, you went from selling gym memberships in Nashua, New Hampshire, right? And now you're
Yeah.
on the golf course, right? You're doing meetings, you're networking with
Right.
people. So you're
Right.
seeing a whole different side of life now.
Right.
How did that change your perspective about life and just money and business, the whole thing?
It didn't. Nothing changed. I think, and I think that's something I pride myself on is no matter how much I get or whatever I have or what level I go to, nothing changes. I'm still here. I break it down to simple. I'm still here to do a purpose. I'm still here to fulfill.
And for you, fulfilling that purpose means elevating. You have to
I
continue
have
to go
elevate
up.
because
Because if you don't have it and you're not earning,
Right.
you can't spread that message. You
Right.
can't move that purpose
Right.
forward.
So if I can't fulfill at every level, that's a problem to me.
Right.
So yeah, it drives me, but the same core principles of just discipline, go out and win, is what I have.
Yeah.
And I think that starts with your foundation.
Mm-hmm.
If you have that then and you carry that all the way up, whatever level you're at, you're going to be all set in my eyes.
And how does fitness play into that now? Like you're talking about performance, right?
Right.
And we've talked before. You're big into cardio now. That's more of a
Right.
performance thing.
Right.
You've been training your legs a little bit differently.
Yeah.
That's a challenge for you.
Right.
So I see that as, okay, he's training his legs because that is something that was difficult for him. He's doing cardio because he didn't like that necessarily
Right. I
before.
hated it. Yeah,
so
I
you're making
hated it.
yourself uncomfortable. So
Yeah.
where does that fit into just sales and growing a business, your current fitness?
Growth. I think growth is the most important thing in life. I think if you stop learning and you stop growing, you're dying in my eyes. That sounds very, very extreme, but it's not to me.
No, it's like what I say all the time. Which way does a tree lean, right?
Right.
If you're not growing, then
Right.
you have to be going the opposite way.
Right,
And that's
right.
just the way it is. In life, there's always a trade.
right.
It's one way or the other.
I think, yeah, and I think that's where it transitioned over was just to keep growing, I read.
Yeah.
I read a ton of books.
Same.
In school, oh my God, I don't know if I ever really read a book cover to cover in school.
You know what the problem with that is,
honest.
though, and I do want to say this, is that, and this is no disrespect to any books, but the books they're having you read,
Was terrible.
they're outdated.
I can't do that stuff.
It's not
Yeah.
really, relevant at this point. The books we
Right.
read now are about mindset. They're about
Right.
money. They're about sales. They're about relationship
Right.
building.
Right.
And those are important.
And I think it all goes back to what you want. Read what there's probably so many books that other people read that I'm like, oh my God, get this out of here.
Right.
But that's for them. That's
Right.
their purpose. They love that.
Well,
stuff.
like a lawyer,
Right.
you need to read books so
Right.
you could be a lawyer. A
Right.
doctor needs to read
Right.
books so they could be a doctor.
Right.
You got to read books that are bettering your life and yourself.
Right.
And then you have to apply them. Because I know a lot of
Yeah,
people who
yeah,
read books.
yeah,
I'm going to
yeah.
tell you right now, that's like to become a popular trend. People posting books online or talking about what they've read.
Posting
and it's
the
like,
quotes, yeah.
you may have read that, but your life doesn't represent
actually that, yeah.
anything that's in that book.
And I think that's a big part of life now. And I was just having a conversation with someone this past week about doing stuff for you and doing stuff that you actually enjoy. And that's what's going to carry you on. That's your passion. Passion thrive. You can thrive off passion.
Right.
And if you have a passion for it, oh my God, you're going to wake up every day ready to rumble.
Absolutely.
Which, for so many people, they don't do that.
Yeah.
They just get up, they do what they need to do and move on. But yeah, I mean, if you can find a way to do what you're passionate about and make a living off it, you won life, man.
If your why is deep enough, you
Yeah.
can handle any adversity.
It doesn't matter.
You're not stopping.
Right.
You know what I
right,
mean?
Right. And I think that's the meaning of life. Is to
Yeah.
find the purpose for you and grow with it and keep growing and keep learning. And I every time I feel stagnant, I try to teach myself something.
Learn something new.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like this past few weeks, this is crazy. I started trading crypto.
Okay.
Yeah, just those
Yeah.
crazy little small coins.
Sure.
I love it. I have a blast. I go home at night, and you know, when I'm trying to wind down, I just do stuff like that. But it's not about trading crypto. It's just about learning a new skill.
Exactly.
You know, being able to navigate that industry is something I didn't know, and that's what keeps me going, really.
It changed your perspective. You know, you might be trading crypto, and then that something you're doing here may teach you something about your other business.
Right.
And then you
Right.
can apply that.
It's all hand in hand.
Yeah.
And going back to bodybuilding taught me the biggest life lesson that I can ever have, and that was discipline.
Yeah.
Discipline is the most important thing in the world, in my eyes. If you don't have discipline, you don't have it.
You have nothing.
Right. Because it's going to come down to,
Life's going to happen to you if
Right.
you don't have discipline.
right. And you're not going to control. It's like when when we were having a meal. So, all right, we're 8 weeks out, 4 weeks out, whatever. Hey, come out, get dinner with us. No, man, I can't.
Nope.
I got to go eat my rice and whatever I'm having that night. Probably steak if it was at the end of the day. But yeah, I mean, to transition from the fitness industry, the sales, it all comes back to discipline. And bodybuilding teaches you that, in my eyes, because that is the most disciplined sport, I think.
Yeah.
How many times you're tested every day? You know, you walk in, sometimes you walk into a gym, you see a thing of donuts that someone brought
Yeah,
in for
it's
the
crazy.
staff. You're like,
Temptations are everywhere.
Right.
And what people don't realize is you're being marketed to every day. So people will say all the time,
Right.
oh, I hate being sold. You're being sold
yeah.
subconsciously.
Right, you don't even know it.
Billboard advertisements, TV commercial, all these different things
Right.
are telling you to give in to temptation and let go of your goals.
Right.
And that's why you have to stay rigid and focused.
Tunnel vision.
You have to be
Right.
attached to your why. Because otherwise you're gonna fall off.
Right, and it's easy. It's
Very
easy to
easy.
fall off, which is tough for this world.
And comfort is nice. Spend some time in comfort for a little bit. Anybody will lose that edge.
I think comfort's a killer, man.
Yep.
I think contentness. I mean, I'm content with where I'm at, but I strive for more.
Right.
Because I'll never miss a step of the process.
Right. And for you, you have more lives to change.
Right.
You have more people to
Right.
impact. And
Right.
we've always talked about something, Chris, that we haven't mentioned yet, but it's legacy. You know,
Yeah.
that's always been the
Yeah.
most important thing.
Right.
I truly believe that success is measured not by how much money you make,
No.
not by how big your company is.
No.
How many people did you motivate, inspire, and help along
Right.
the way? And, people always say to me, why do you, waste your time with, some people or whatever? It's because
Yeah.
I truly believe that if I can try to help as many people as I can, if a small fraction actually take that help,
That's it.
then I made a ripple. And
Yeah.
hopefully that can create a butterfly
Right.
effect and continue.
Right. Yeah, I mean, with that being said, I guess we can transition into the real beginning of the story and what I'm doing now
And what you built.
Yeah.
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 So what have you built? Let's start there.
So just to be quick with it, I opened up sober living homes, recovery homes, which hits home to me, and it was something I wanted to do for years. I had a great mentor that he really got me to do it, and he really showed me the way, which was, I'm forever blessed for that. It was something he already built, and he was able to guide me. But yeah, so Your Path Recovery Living, it's a sober home. I got a couple of them right now, and let's go back to the reason why I opened it was because I wanted to make a real change. I wanted to bring sober homes back to what I had, because I lived in one, and just that old school view on it. You come in and you fix yourself from within, and it's been great. Almost swore right there, but yeah, I've loved every minute of it. I wake up every single day just ready to go, and it's it's my passion. So to bring it back even before that, as you know, I suffered for addiction. Man, I think I was in active addiction for probably like eight years or so.
Wow.
And I'm talking running.
Yep.
Bad. I did a lot of stuff that I wish I didn't, and the biggest thing is the families, and your family goes through it worse than anyone. That's a lot of people don't realize about addiction. It's hard to be the addict, but it's way harder on the family, and without my mom and her sticking by me, I definitely wouldn't be here today. And but that's why I wanted to start this. I wanted to bring it back to what saved me. I was able to get hooked up with a great house that ran it right and truly changed my life. It's the reason why I have everything today. So that, and then with the parents, I wanted to connect with the parents because they take it hard too.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, so we do things a little different. It's a lot more structured. But the biggest thing that I do that's a little different is I teach them how powerful they are, opposed to like a victim mindset. A lot of the industry might be a little victim mindset, like it's not your fault, you just keep this, that, which is great.
Now, do you teach responsibility, owning it?
So I teach them that we all have traumas. Everybody has them. That's probably the root of why what happened to you, for sure. But you got to let it go. That's the only way to move forward. If you keep living in that, you're just going to stay stuck in the same cycle of just continuing, going, growing, stop, and I don't want to see that anymore. I just want them to get the rest of their lives. So I teach them how, when used correctly. All right, let me back this up real quick. What I believe is in life, you're either going to use it or it's going to use you. And that goes into everything in life. You can't control what happens to you, but you can control the outcome.
Absolutely.
You can control how you react to it. It's a reactionary world. So that's when your mindset comes into reactionary. So I teach them that how powerful they really are. Now think about it. Let's just use me for an example. For 8 years, right, I woke up every day with nothing but lint in my pocket probably. And I still found a way to go out and get it, whatever I needed to do to fulfill that day for what I needed. If you just use 50% of that in life,
unstoppable.
You're unstoppable.
You're unstoppable.
Dude. You found a way every single day to just come in there, do what you need to do, and have that again at the end of the day for 8 years, 10 years, some of these guys 15 years, I want to teach them how powerful that is.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you can use that determination just for 50% on something good, which I use now, you'll take over. And another thing I want them to know is how blessed they are to see hell, to hit rock bottom. I think rock bottom is just the best thing in the world.
I agree.
I think it's I am so grateful to hit rock bottom, which sounds crazy because I did a lot of stuff and it was a very bad time for me. But now that I've been shown how to use it and how to move forward from it, it's the best thing in the world.
You can bounce off the bottom. You can just push yourself up.
And that's what the Lionhearted is too, is it shows me what I crawled out of. And being able to crawl out of something like that and being able to move forward from that, there's nothing that can shake you.
It eliminates the thing that stops most people, which is fear.
Fear, right.
Once you've been there and you face that, what do you have to worry about?
Nothing.
What do you have to lose?
Right.
You've lost it all. There. Yeah. You've been there. So we've touched on this a couple of times, Chris, passion. And one quote that sticks out to me is Steve Jobs. You have to have a lot of passion for what you do, because if you don't, any rational person would just quit. We talked about being delusional. Yeah. We talked about all those things. What's your passion?
I think everybody comes down here with a purpose. We touched on it a little bit earlier. I think everyone comes down to almost fulfill a job. And life will set you up to fulfill that job. I think that's why I went through what I went through. I think I had to go through that so I can lead people out. I think I had to go through the addiction for that long. I think I had to go to learn it, to be a part of it, and then start your path recovery living. Because how can someone teach if you haven't really done it? It's like a mentor. Why would you want a mentor that didn't do the same thing that you did? Why, you got to be around people that you want in your life. So I think going through addiction is what really got me down that road, and that is my passion. I've realized that waking up every day and trying to make an impact on this world, trying to make it better, is what I'm going to do with my second chance. So we can bring it back to addiction a little bit. I think you go through addiction. You're doing unforgivable things, but you don't think there's a way out during the time of it. And you get to a low point where you think the only way out is end it. I can fully say I've been there, been close and stuff like that. And that's what it leads to. And then when you're at that mindset of like, that's the only way out, you're thinking there's no way out. There's no way out in this world still. You're not really thinking like, I can pull this off, And I think then you go into treatment and you stuff like that. And it's hard to break that victim mentality. It's hard to say like, you know what, it was on me, which I think that in addiction, you have to take responsibility. Excuse me. I think that, you got yourself into it. It's on you to get yourself out. But at the end of the day, you picked something up, you enjoyed it, it got you to escape. Addiction is really you're just escaping your own mind. That's why I think that in order to really beat addiction, you have to just win from within. You have to change from the inside out. I see so many people come in and I did it. I did it. You know, just try to fix yourself externally. Try to wear the Jordans and stuff like that. You know, I'll bring it up to a real quick story of what my mentor did to me one time when I was living in the sober house, and it truly changed my life from then on out. So I was standing in the driveway, and I was waiting for him to pick me up to go to the gym. That's when the gym really started for me. And he came in. I was feeling myself and stuff like that. And he just asked me, and he's like, "Oh, look at those shoes." He's like, what do you got? What are those? I'm like, "Jordans, $220." You know, right?
Flexing.
Yeah. I thought I had it all, dude. It was, oh my God, it's funny to even think about. And so he goes, "The Jordans, $220. What are those jeans? True Religions, $80. You know, what's that shirt?" He's hyping me up. He's like, "What's that shirt?" I'm like, "Armani, $60, right?" He's like, how much money you got in your pocket?" Bro, I had like $4.57, right? So then he looks at me dead straight and goes, "So you mean to tell me you got a few hundred on your body and you don't even have enough money to buy yourself a pack of cigarettes?" And he said, "Your priorities are fucked up."
Yeah, what's that say about you?
Right. He said, "Your priorities are fucked up, man." And I was like, that changed my life from there on out. That's when I knew that I was willing to sacrifice everything, because that's what it took. So then...
That's interesting, though, Chris, because I want you to think about extrinsic changes. People are very quick to make those. Like, think about somebody who doesn't like their life. They got a lot of problems they're dealing with. They up and move.
Right.
Problem with that is you live with yourself every single day.
Right.
Your mind uses itself to figure itself out. Right. So if you move locations geographically,
you're still the same person.
You're still going to battle those same demons.
That's why we always say a geographical change isn't going to fix it.
No.
But back to what we were talking about, passion and purpose. My purpose is to help as many people as I can before I leave this place. I think that's what I'm here to fulfill, and I think that's when I feel best about myself. When I'm doing stuff like that, I know I can feel internally that I feel great.
Yeah.
So that's what all I care about, man. I don't care about the other stuff. I just want to feel good. For so long I hated myself, dude. Oh my God, I hated myself.
And as a result, during that time period, you probably hated other people as well.
It was you're all a reflection. That's why when people say stuff to me, or when people, I don't get mad. I just know you almost feel bad. That's why I think that when it comes to addiction, granted, I will say the industry's getting better. It's more, as you can see, that it doesn't discriminate. You got every aspect of life has someone that's suffering from it
absolutely.
now. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So that's what I decided to do. I decided I want to make a difference in this industry, and I'm just getting started, and that starts with just showing them, like we talked about earlier, man, just showing them that they can do it, just living by example, giving them that out, because I never personally want to go back to that feeling ever again.
No.
That level of depression, that level of suicidal, I never. I don't, you know what else too? I don't ever want families to have to go through that again either, because that, we touched on it earlier, that part sucks. I think about that all the time. My brother, my sister, my father, my mom, what I put them through is just hell. And I see it now. When I talk to parents of guys in my house, it reminds me of what I did to them. And it's like, you guys are the ones going through it. My mom was in the trenches with me too. Mm-hmm. So that's why I want to change.
And that's a big part of your why too.
Yeah.
I mean, that woman stood by you. She's the reason you're still here.
Yeah.
And you want her to see this vision really pan out. You want her to see her son take what he went through and what she went through.
Right.
Because she went through this too.
Right.
But it's not for nothing.
No.
And you're going to help.
Right. And it's capitalizing on any opportunity, man. You know what I'm saying? It's just, how are you going to react to what you went through? How are you going to use it? It's either, like I said again, it's either going to use you. Now, for example, when I say it's going to use you, it's going to be the poor me attitude. Why did I go through this? Which I lived in. Why did I have to do that? Why me? This and that, which is just going to keep you stuck in this vicious cycle that but when you flip to that switch of, I'm going to use it, that's when you can start to use it as a powerful thing. Mm-hmm. That's when I talk about, like, getting up every day. You found a way to get high every day. You ain't gonna find a way to get your dream done every day.
Yeah.
And you don't even need the amount of determination you needed to get high every day. You can just go. You can, like I said, you use 50% of that, it's over.
Especially in today's world, man.
Right.
There's no reason to be sitting there broke
Right.
wondering how to make your next buck. I mean, there's a lot of opportunity out there.
It just comes. But I think a lot of people are. The reason why it's like that is I think a lot of people aren't doing what they really want to do.
Right.
You get what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Because that's what drives me. That is, I truly love it. So it's easy for me.
Yep.
It's easy to get up and do that every day. You love bodybuilding. You
Yep.
love changing people's lives in the gym. You love being able to make sure they feel great through supplements.
Yep.
It's easy for you to wake up every day.
100%.
But a lot of people don't.
No.
So that's why I always tell my guys in the house, find your purpose. Wherever that is.
Yeah.
Find your reason why you're here. Pray about it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's huge. That's a
Right.
big one. You know, and I think that's missed on this, the community today, society
Right.
today. You know, I heard a quote, it was actually in a movie, and I thought it was profound because they said years ago, people used to leave their front doors unlocked and they go to church.
Yeah.
Now no one goes to church
Right.
and everybody locks their front doors, right?
Right.
So those conversations, like you said, whatever you're speaking to or what you believe, whether it's a higher power or God, you're ultimately having those with yourself too.
Right.
So they serve as a reminder of who you want to be,
Right.
what you believe in. But like you said, if you don't know what you believe in, I think this is the downfall of many people. You stand for nothing, you fall for anything.
Right. And back to praying, just ask what you're here for.
Yeah.
It'll show you. Everything will show you in this land. And it's just the thing, like you just said, that we got to disconnect from something up there. I don't like to say what is up there, for everybody believes something different.
Sure.
All I care about is that you believe that there is something, because something greater yourself, because that helps you guide you. That's faith.
Yeah.
Faith
is everything,
Faith
man.
gets you going, dude.
Absolutely.
You don't stop because
Yep.
you believe it.
Right.
And and there's just such a disconnect. And I don't get me wrong, when I first got clean, oh my God, I didn't believe in anything.
Yeah.
'Cause
I remember that.
Yeah.
Because if you remember, me personally, I have a little bit more of a religious background. I went to a Catholic school,
Right.
Catholic college.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I've always had those views. You were the furthest thing from that when I
like,
met you.
Why would he put me through this? The
And-
victim mentality.
yeah.
Why would he do that to me?
And then
Right.
now you sit before
Right.
me today, basically giving him praise and saying that,
Yeah.
hey, this is, I built that faith muscle. I built
Right.
that connection.
Right. And that's a huge reason why I'm here. I wake up every morning. If I don't pray, my day is screwed up.
Yeah.
I'll be in my own head. Right.
People don't understand that a thought is a thought.
Right.
It's nothing.
Right.
When you speak it out loud, I'm really big on this, writing things down.
Yeah.
I took this from you. I have a gratitude journal now.
Yes,
You
yes.
told me to do that.
Yeah, I remember
keep it
that,
with
yeah.
me. What I do with the gratitude journal is I'll write down things I'm thankful for.
Yep.
But one of the things I also do is I'll give myself credit.
Right.
Let's say I land a business opportunity,
Right.
or I make a sale, or something good
Right.
happens. Instead of looking for that extrinsic, support, I write it down.
Yeah.
You did this today.
Yeah.
And now when
You
I'm
gotta
sitting
take the
there,
little wins. You
the
have
little
to take the
wins,
little
because when you're
wins,
sitting there on
what's
a
the
Friday,
point of doing it? Right.
How's this going to work? How am I going to
Right.
make this happen? You look at that journal and say, wow, I accomplished a lot.
And like I said, for the gratitude list, you write down things that you're thankful for that you're going to have down the line because you truly believe that's going to happen.
Yep.
And that all goes back to mindset. It really everything, whether it's praying, praying is coming from your mind. I one time I did some random research and I started thinking, right, from the beginning of time, we were told we got to worship in temples. That's how you connect. I don't believe you have to go anywhere to worship. I don't believe in anything like that.
Right.
You know why? Everyone's just, you got to go to temples, you got to worship from the beginning of time. You got 2 temples on the side of your head. What's in the middle of that is your mind.
Right.
That's where you connect to it.
Amazing.
You know what I'm saying?
That's deep.
That's how I connect.